What's going on, guys? So I thought I was gonna pump out a couple videos and then I literally forgot I have to go open up the bar. I have a shift tonight and I've got some bookkeeping to do. Anyways, still gonna get this video done right before my shift. I am dedicated to this channel. I am, and I know that when I have like organic original thoughts, I pretty much have to make a video on the spot. Like I am learning to write down in my notes like video ideas, content ideas, things that are interesting, things that I feel are original, but sometimes I forget to write them down and I just feel like I have to get it out. This video is going to be short and sweet. I know I always say that. The other videos are like 30-40 minutes. I'm sorry about that, or you're welcome. Depends how you look at it. But I want to talk about is TCG collecting, is collecting Pokemon, is it harmful? Is it potentially harmful for your mental, physical, emotional state of mind? In the recent video, I was talking about etiquette, talking to how you should engage buyers and sellers in the TCG market. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this video as well, because there are a lot of psychological impacts that it has. So the first one being that you're collecting, which means it's kind of a never-ending instant gratification chase. You're always chasing a high. You've got to catch them all. You're always ripping packs open. Some of us open, one or two packs, and other of us have problems and we have to open a lot of packs, especially if you're a content creator and you're going for that low-hanging fruit of opening up card packs constantly. You are just spending money. So these things have financial impacts on us, but I think the financial impact is fairly understandable and I think common sense. If you're spending a lot of money on Pokemon cards, you're not going to have a lot of money because you're spending it all on Pokemon cards. And I also think there's different impacts in terms of vintage and modern. Obviously, I've preached modern. I think modern is a great investment despite the fact that there are Charizard UPCs, for example. We were at Target last night grocery shopping, and there were like 14 Charizard UPCs sitting on the shelf. I don't understand that. In my heart of hearts, I wanted to buy all of those Charizard UPCs, but I'm also getting my life kind of financially back together and on track. So this year I want to focus on that. I also want to focus on the implications of collecting and constantly going after the chase or the chase card of Pokemon or any TCG, if you will. I think this is applicable to all TCG, all collecting, whether it's retro video games, cards, watches, cars, jewelry. I don't know. That gets a little bit farther away from what we're going for here. But what I'm trying to say is, right now, vintage could be going downhill. Do you want to, prices are going down as far as vintage goes. I think modern is going to have a strong trajectory upwards because the prices are retail and wholesale and moving up. Whereas vintage product is a little harder to have a pulse on that market. It's a little bit harder to judge what something is worth. There's been tons of articles and, news things that have stated statistically Pokemon, the vintage era stuff has gone up like 300%. I think or more, arguably, even with inflation and the price of collectibles steadily going up. Vintage stuff has gone up a lot, and you don't want to get caught in that craze. Why is this relevant? Well, to our point of, is collecting Pokemon cards, can it be detrimental? Can it be harmful to you, emotionally, physically, psychologically, mentally? The reason that it's relevant is because I collected, big time vintage, these past couple years. This year I really went harder with the modern stuff. But the past couple years I've spent amassing this stuff. The past couple years have been a hype train for Pokemon. I could have definitely, dare I say this, but I could have been caught in a bubble. I could be living in a bubble. I was investing and buying all this stuff, I was buying all this stuff pretty much as it was still going up in value and holding, peak value. For everybody who's out there, there's nothing wrong with taking a break and slowing down and pacing yourself, not just with modern, but with the vintage stuff too. I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit. I know in past videos I've said, invest in Sword and Shield. The vintage market is gold. I have said these things and I still believe them to be fairly true. But I also want to talk about the dark side of things. And I mentioned somebody in the comment that people might not like this video topic because it does, what's the right word? Call attention to maybe some of the problems or underlying issues with being a collector in these hobbies, in this, sector. And that is that you could get caught in the bubble. You could spend all this money, decrease your quality of living. You're dealing with, as I've talked about in the other video, you're dealing with, maybe rude sellers or the constant messaging on certain items. You're putting a lot of mind energy. You're putting a lot of research and time and energy into collecting, into this hobby. And you're not really getting a whole lot back out of it for your time. For me last year, especially when I got really sucked into it, because it does pull you in. And that's, this is a psychological thing that people really should be talking about. I know SM Pratt has talked about, people are investing with their emotions. I definitely feel that. I invested with my emotions big time on some of the vintage collectibles I went after. But then after that, I wasn't really emotional. It was more like, this is a good investment. This is good. I feel good about this. I'll keep this stuff even if it goes down in value. I've always wanted something like this, to rekindle my childhood and to just have that awesome, dopamine rush and nostalgia rush. That's what this stuff does for me. But the cost that it took to get here, would I pay that again? I don't know. I don't know if I would be willing to go through all the effort and time and money, working hard, long shifts at the bar, serving all these cocktails, and then I'm spending like hundreds of dollars on a single pack or a single card or a single, box, like the Skyridge box. I spent $400 on that freaking empty box. It's a lot of money going into it. The average person is not pulling in the kind of money to collect this stuff in today's market environment, in today's bubble. And while it is coming down, and I have said it could be a good time to dive into vintage, I just want you guys to be aware of the implications and the long-term impact it could have on you. I've already done the deed. I've already done this. I've already gone in, face first, diving into this hobby, diving into this market. I've already done the financial damage to myself. My goal now at this point is to talk about that, talk about why I did that, I've always been interested in psychology. I definitely wish I would have just triple majored and gone into psychology too. That would have been epic. I would have learned a lot about how the human mind works. And I think a lot of my adult friends understand that a little bit better than me and are like, I just don't understand how you could put so much money. Basically, I dumped my entire savings and salary into collecting Pokemon cards again. Guys, that's insanity. That is literally insanity. And while I don't really regret it, I could have done some things differently. I could have pumped the brakes a little bit on some stuff. There's just so much product out there. And in my opinion, it's really, for the most part, not going anywhere in the next year or two, maybe 3. Down a decade or 2 down the road, the vintage stuff is gonna dry up. I think it's gonna be scarce. I don't think you're gonna be able to find anything. I think people are not gonna want to sell stuff. The stuff that you will be able to find are people that are selling stuff for 100%, 200%, 300% gain. But we have to be careful. I said, mentally, you're going after these chase cards, you're going after these items you really want, you're bidding on all these things. Every time you lose an auction, that was one of the biggest things that changed my whole perception of Pokemon. When I lost a bid on a first edition Charizard, it was a 4,800. I really couldn't afford it. It really wasn't within my means or budget, but I could put it on my credit card. And it was just way too much to spend at one time for one single piece of cardboard. It was just too much, despite what the market thinks, despite what other collectors think. I think it would have been crazy if I would have won that auction, but I didn't. I lost that auction, and God bless me for losing that auction because it forced me to take a step back. God, I love this chair so much. It forced me to take a step back and really think about my decisions and think about what I was doing and the long-term implications it would have on me down the road. How I would view collecting, how I would view Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, whatever, TCG, whatever. And you can apply this, like I said, to collecting anything, knickknacks, thrifting, cars, jewelry, I don't want to throw real estate in there because I think real estate's a really strong investment. Stocks, you could throw that in there. This is a great conversation that applies to all this stuff. You don't want to get in too deep. You really don't want to get in too deep. Now, you're bidding on all this stuff, and when you lose, that sends a little like depression signal through your body. You're like, wow, I lost this. I lost this thing that I basically couldn't even afford. I lost this thing that I didn't really need, but it was more of a want. I lost this thing that is not going to change my quality of living, that I don't plan to sell or make money on, really, and I'm sad. When you do that every day, and I was bidding on like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 items a week, I was bidding on, and I would lose a lot of them. And so I think eventually I got comfortable bidding on all these things and going after auctions and Goodwill and Mercari and sending messages. I was spending so much time doing this. Could have spent more time with my family. Could have spent more time with my parents. When I say family, I'm talking about my daughter and my wife. Could have spent more time with my parents. Could have taken my dad fishing or something, or I don't really know if that's his style. Could have taken him to an old car warehouse or something. I could have done so many things with all that time. And whatever, irrelevant now. Can't change the past. You can only work on the future. And this is my message to you guys is pace yourselves. I've said this before, but again, we're talking about all the implications of collecting and being in these hobbies and what it can do to your mind, your emotions, your physical. Someone might say, what does collecting Pokemon cards do to your physical? Well, if I'm on my phone and I'm on the computer all the time doing auctions, what do you think is happening? I can't. What do you think is happening to the fat on my body? What do you think is happening to, my head? It's going to mush. I'm becoming a couch potato that's sitting there bidding on stuff constantly, and that's fine. But you really should care about your physical. You should really care about your physical health. You should care about your physical health. You should care about your mental health. And I do believe that those two things are intertwined. I do believe that if you're going to the gym, even if you're not pushing yourself that hard, you go for 5 minutes, you go to the gym, you come out feeling a little bit better than you went going in. You might have really not wanted to go. I know most days that I go to the gym, I really don't want to go. I really don't feel like it's going to do anything for me. Gradually, though, I do see the changes. I feel the changes. I feel better. I feel more in tune. I feel like I'm coming up with more original ideas, and creativity is bursting. And I feel like a lot of that is due to just taking a step back from the screen and like constantly bidding on stuff and typing in stuff and searching stuff. If you're not in it for the long haul from the get-go, I understand it can take a whole year. It can take years to catch up to the hobby to a point where you're like, okay, I have a sufficient collection and I'm happy with everything. All that research, all the typing, all the questions, all that is a part of learning about the hobby and learning about the history of cards and learning about the values. That is a very real part of the collecting hobby. This kind of excludes players because some people are just in the hobby to play the game, play at tournaments, build decks. But this affects them too, because if you're hustling to get certain cards and buy certain things, and you're always catching up to the next tournament level deck, then you're always trying to catch up to the next guy. You're always trying to have the best of the best. And you're playing catch up with the Jones. That's a term my dad always uses. Orion, you're always playing catch up with the Jones. I've done it with cars, jewelry, watches. I don't wear a lot of that stuff in my videos anymore because I don't want to come off as like some kind of braggy prick. But I've collected in a lot of things, and I'm starting to look inward and reflect psychologically, like, how has this affected my entire life? I've spent a lot of time researching things in my lifetime and on the screen and behind the computer instead of bettering myself, taking time to meditate, going to the gym. These are things that people just don't. There are lifestyle coaches on YouTube, but I don't think there's a lot of people in the Pokemon hobby that are like preaching to take care of your physical and mental state, and how being entrenched in the hobby can actually keep you from doing these things and taking care of yourself and really loving yourself. You deserve love. You deserve to care for yourself. You are worth it. You guys might think it's funny that I'm saying that, but I'm serious. You know, there have been times where I wish somebody said that to me. You know, and there's just rude people you're going to deal with in the hobby when you're collecting. Specifically to collecting, I just talked about how to engage buyers and sellers in the last video. Why does that apply here? Because you can get ground down mentally and emotionally, especially when people rip you off or scam you, or you get like a resealed pack and it just comes apart and the cards all look worn. You're like, oh my God, this hobby has betrayed me. Betrayed me! That's what I felt like when I was buying a lot of stuff and it wasn't what it turned out to be. When I had one video where I bought an XY Evolutions booster box, and you know, you're kind of anti-fragile when it comes to YouTube, because you can make anything work on YouTube, which is what I love about this. I'm able to tell my life story as a collector and explain to other people what you don't want to do, the traps that you don't want to fall into, and that becomes content, and I can actually use that to my advantage. There's really not a lot out there like YouTube, especially collecting, where you get scammed and it's like you have the clickbait thumbnail that's like, I got scammed. You know, like, that stuff gets views. It's good content. People like to learn from it and see it. So it's kind of a win-win as a YouTuber, you know, talking about collectibles, Pokemon cards. And I kind of want to branch this channel out and become more than just the Pokemon channel. But I am passionate about this hobby. Obviously, I have a lot invested in it, both mentally, financially, physically. I've spent a lot of time doing these videos. If I have over 300 videos and the average video I do is over 10 minutes, spent a lot of time trying to contribute to this hobby, trying to contribute to this community, trying to become something in this community. And I really urge you guys to basically not take a step back from the hobby, but just take a breather. Take a couple days to breathe and see how much better you feel. Maybe this is extreme, but I'm an extremist. When I do something, I do it to an extreme level of ferocity. Like, I am aggressive. When I collect, when I want to buy something, I want to get the best of the best, and I want to collect and be the most knowledgeable person in that field or subject or whatever it is. I wish I would have applied myself that way in school. And I think that worked. I was in finance and business. I think that worked. I invested a lot in the stock market. I did well in my first year, and then I got burnt out the rest of 2021, 2022, and now we're going into 2023, and my portfolio is absolutely crushed. But I believe that I do put my best foot forward and put a lot of effort in the things that I do. And I don't want collectors new to the hobby, I don't want you to jump into the hobby and throw all this money at it and buy everything off the shelves and buy vintage at all-time highs. You know, take a second, learn from it, watch it. But don't forget those other things, like to love yourself, take care of yourself, meditate, work out, like take a second to breathe, you know? What was one of the points I really wanted to make before I wrap this up? I hate losing my train of thought. I'm super ADD. What were some of the last points? Collecting, taking a breather back. I'm sorry, guys. I'm losing my last train of thought. I know you guys are kind of used to me trying to catch my breath and what I'm talking about, but yes, I got it. Hey, you guys who want to do content, you guys that want to make original content that makes people really think, that draws people's attention, that keeps their attention, that has a really good audience retention. The word retention is very important when it comes to YouTube. If you guys want to make your own videos, I implore you, make your own videos. One thing that some people may not agree with or may not like is come up with your own original ideas. I have a lot of ideas. Almost all of our ideas are made and comprised of other people's ideas. You know, you've got these big YouTubers. You know, Danny Phantom is doing the analytical. PokeRev is doing the hype openings. Alpha Investments is the sealed investor who's buying all the sealed product and sitting on it. And I do learn unoriginal ideas from all of these guys. But one thing that's interesting is ever since I took a step back, a breather, the last couple months trying to get my finances together and really thinking about why I made the decisions I made, I became a better YouTuber. See, a good YouTube actually can be done with no money. I mean, aside from me owning an expensive iPhone 14 Pro, that's an expensive thing. I mean, we're talking about basically like an $1,000 camera, essentially. I think other than that, you can do it with nothing. You don't need to go after the low-hanging fruit of doing pack openings. I know a lot of you are probably going to go in that direction. People love pack openings. I could do constant pack openings. I can certainly afford to do constant pack openings, even if I don't feel that that's a great investment with my time or money. I urge you guys to take a break, to take a breather from the hobby. And if you are a content creator, this is relevant and specific to content creators out there. You guys that are watching that are like, I just started my own channel. And what's up to all the new channels, all the new subscribers that are commenting and helping create a dialogue on this channel. We're building our own community, guys. We're literally building a community from the ground up. And it's not just a hype train of using the word community. We are actually building a community here where guys, girls, we all talk in the comments and we have conversations about things, or at least I'm having conversations with you guys on things, and hearing your perspectives. I think we're really building a community from the ground up, and I urge you, if you're a content creator, to try and build your own community from the ground up, and don't copy and paste from everybody else. Even the people that are like, you could build a massive YouTube by just copying and pasting shorts from people and copying and pasting video clips and doing reaction videos. Whoa, did this guy just do that? Wow. I'm sorry, that is not original. It's not original, and you might make a lot of money from it, but what is it doing like for your soul, for your heart, for your pride? Or I guess my heart's over here. I don't know. I was not great in anatomy. I think I took anatomy in 8th grade. Anyways, we were working on pigs out on a science table. Y'all remember that? The frogs? Most of y'all had frogs. We had pigs. Freaking disgusting. Smelled like turd. Anyways, I urge you to make your own content and really try and be original and think about what you're doing. And when you do have an original idea, try to write it down or try and act on it and just do a video. And even if the videos don't catch on traction, eventually they will. Eventually people will follow you and they will listen to you and they will support you if you're willing to do the legwork. And I feel like that's easiest done, and you won't feel so unoriginal and beat yourself up like I have the past year and a half of doing YouTube, if it's original. And now I feel like as I focus less on buying product from Pokemon and more on like, why am I doing this? What's the best way to do it? How can I teach people? What can I educate? How can I be more educational? Well, I have my own life experience, and there's that. But there's also just psychological elements to collecting that just are so obvious to like, this could be really bad for us if we continue to buy into it and want that instant gratification and are all praising Pokemon. There's a way to go about it. Pokemon is not some amazing, incredible, bulletproof investment source. It is a highly investable asset, in my opinion. But there are cons to it, and you have to be careful. This is not shots at any type of collector. This is more like educational as possible. But yeah, just try and have some original content, trying to have some original thoughts. Almost nothing is original these days. Even our thoughts, we're getting something from somewhere. These ideas came from somewhere. But for the most part, I'm kind of, I used to spend thousands of dollars on Pokemon product, and now I spend $100, and I really think, where's that money going? What am I doing with this money? Is this thing that I'm buying, is it going to sit in a bin in my garage for 5 years and I kind of forget about it and I never really capitalize off of it? How can I become more of an efficient collector? I need to buy this stuff, and it needs to have a purpose. Even if that purpose is just a display, that's still a purpose. Like, these have a purpose. They're serving a function. They're displays. Like, that makes me happy. Like, if I turn this all the way up here, even my Yu-Gi-Oh, you can see my empty Yu-Gi-Oh boxes. I have like 27 of the first Yu-Gi-Oh boxes at the top there, all kind of piling up. All those Yu-Gi-Oh boxes and Pokemon boxes, all that stuff is like display stuff. There's a function. It has an aesthetic purpose. Like, when I buy bulk cards, like, there's not really a purpose there. Those are going to sit, and I just love vintage. I think vintage bulk is a gold mine for sure down the road. The theme decks, I have to collect the collection. There's a purpose. But now I'm like, when I buy something, I want to think, okay, what's the turnaround on this? How quickly can I sell this item? I add to my collection, and then at the same time, if I wanted to sell this and invest in a nicer version of it, how long would that take me? Can I actually make money? Am I just breaking even? Like, I think a lot more now, and I think most people, this is like a common sense thing. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you think about how you're spending your money? But seriously, guys, I think once you get used to like the environment of like online spending and e-commerce and the way we go on Amazon, and they already know what you want, and they're like giving you suggested things, and things are popping up, and they're like, would you like to buy this stuff again? And you're like, oh, I'm just buying, like, we're just sucked into consumerism. And that's a whole separate video that I can talk about for sure. I have no idea what my next video is going to be. I'm just hoping for an original idea, and I can be like, that's the one. I can either write it down, or if I'm home, I'll just do the video. But collect with a purpose, and if you're going to make content that has a purpose. Don't just try and regurgitate stuff over and over again. I think it's not very entertaining, and two, I think it's a little bit, I don't want to be cruel, but pathetic. I think it's a little bit pathetic to do the same things over and over again. Now, if I had a ton of money and a ton of subscribers, there's a strong chance that every once in a while I would buy like a vintage box the way PokeRev does, and I would rip it open, and I would ship out packs, and we would have a chat going. Like, that's the move, right? Like, that's sick. I think that's what a lot of people get into this hobby. They're like, I'm gonna open up packs and it's gonna grow into something massive. It could, but if it doesn't, and you're just throwing money down the trash, flushing it down the toilet, start with your own unique ideas, and maybe it can build into that. I still, for one, think that if I did have access to subscription money and I could afford, even if the bar was doing really well that I operate, I still don't think that I would be ripping open vintage product. I think I would be telling people, like, I just bought this box. It's beautiful. We're going to talk about everything that it embodies and, like, all the feelings of nostalgia. We're not going to open it up, guys. I will order some single packs for us to open up at some point, but I'm not going to open up these investments. I really do see Pokemon as the thing and mostly because the last couple years, dang it, my video went too long. God dang it. Well, the last couple years, it's kind of really hyped up, and now there's way less product because everyone's on top of it and competitive and looking for it. So sealed product might come down a little bit in price, but for the most part, I think like the old sealed booster boxes are going to really go up in value. And I see this stuff as an investment more than a form of entertainment. Like, what do you do when for your channel that is mainly opening up product? What do? You just stick with modern product openings, and that's you hit a plateau at some point with opening stuff up because you can only open up so much product. Do you feel me? Like, there's only so much product out there. Literally, at a certain point, you will run out of vintage product and you don't have any more content ideas because it's been the same thing over. So you have to pivot and come up with new stuff. It's so much easier to just be organic and genuine from the get-go, and that's hard to do, and that takes time, and I don't even think I've fully reached that point, but I'm trying desperately to make this channel more interesting, differentiate itself, be organic, have a unique community. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this. I got out all my points. I don't have anything floating around. That's usually how I gauge when a video ends. When I run out of tangents and ideas, I pretty much say, you know what? We're ready to go. And with that, I am headed off to work. Peace out, guys. I might do a video later tonight. I might even open a pack or two later tonight. I don't know. I feel like we're going to come up on 900 subscribers really soon. We're going to celebrate with another pack opening. I don't know if it's going to be Silver Tempest. If we get to 900 tonight, I'm not saying we will, but every time I put out a video, I pretty much gain like 30, 40, 50 subscribers. So I feel like that's probably going to happen by the end of tonight. If I don't have any Silver Tempest, I might, if you guys want to comment and tell me what I should do, buy more Silver Tempest or open up some of your Brilliant Stars. I can do either or. But anyways, stay tuned, guys. Thank you for your support. My good old thank you for my support, for your support. I appreciate it, guys. I've just started to realize it's not just you guys all make this possible. That is true. But also, I work really hard to put out a lot of content, so I am making it possible for this channel to grow as well. And I think for that, give myself a pat on the back. Good job, Ryan. But also, thank you guys. Real talk. Without a subscriber base, I couldn't even talk like anything of what I'm saying even matters. Without a subscriber base, the message doesn't get heard. Without a subscriber base, by now, I probably would have just quit YouTube. But now I kind of don't see an end in sight. Even if I had to stop doing Pokemon, even if I sold my whole collection, I would continue doing YouTube probably no matter what in some respect. But I think I'm lucky enough that I get to talk about TCG, and it's not just Pokemon. I think Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is sick. I think Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is tight. But I've just focused so much on Pokemon because the investable aspect of it and the market of it and the viewership and the amount of subscribers that you probably get doing a YouTube that's Pokemon based. Right now, it's a really great time. It's like the golden age for like Pokemon YouTubers. So I'm pretty lucky that I decided to go that direction with this channel. And to be honest, I did not think I would have 1,000, or I shouldn't say 1,000. I did not think I would even have 100 or 200 subscribers by this time, a year ago. There's no way. I did not feel that way. I did not feel confident. I felt like everything that I did was basically useless and in vain. And you got to know, if you're a new content creator, this thing takes time. And it took me about an entire year to get it to where it's taking off. A lot of people get monetized in a year. I think in the future, I'll be able to say, oh yeah, I got monetized in 1 year. Not really. It was more like a year and like a month or two. But basically, we're very close to getting monetized. Super exciting. I know I'm going to make like 1 penny a day or something ridiculous like that. But 1 penny a day is 1 penny more a day than I was getting paid to do my rants anyways. Everything up to this point has basically been just free time and investment. But anyways, I'm ranting. I'm so sorry, guys. I meant it to be a shorter video. I really hope you guys enjoy it. In the comments, let me know what you think about, the psychological, mental, physical implications of, being a collector in any kind of hobby that's like this, where you kind of get sucked and drawn into it. And, what are some things that you do, some fail safes. What are some fail safes that you do to keep yourself from kind of going crazy, over collecting, overspending? Because nowadays, even if I spend $50, I'm like, damn, I spent $50 on cards. Like, it doesn't even matter what it is. It's just crazy with prices of everything lately, how much we're spending on Pokemon cards. Like, it's just crazy. But anyways, peace out, guys. Have a great night, and I will catch you in the next video.